everyone, and welcome to Chit Chats with Blake and Owen. This is season 1, episode 1 of this podcast. And well, I'm Blake, and
I'm Owen.
And this is so we actually just straight off the bat we did record another episode of this, but the file got lost. So this is technically season 1, episode 1. Episode 2 is just about to get dropped, so go check that out. I sound like one of those
You sound like
a really bad producer.
Yeah.
That's
like we're dropping music.
Yeah. I miss Caesar episode. What am I saying?
Yeah. Let's just get on with the show.
Yeah, let's get on.
Our first segment's gonna be Call of Duty. I'll let Blake start it off.
Yeah, so Call of Duty was a popular game that was released back in 2001 by, was it?
Infinity Ward.
And this game started off, it was extremely bad. Like, no, it wasn't bad. The game itself was good, and
for its time,
for its time back in like 2001. That's when it was when the first game released.
The first three
really
got
good game, though, yeah. It was really good.
Okay.
And with the newest Call of Duty released, it's got gamers questioning if this is actually a real game or is it just them talking and not even talking, just talking to each other and being toxic, and also running around the map and jumping like they have spacesuits. And it's got me kind of thinking that.
Wait, which one? Black Ops 3 or
Black Ops 3. This is what I'm referring to.
Okay.
It's just jumping around with spacesuits. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's the same thing with Infinite Warfare. You're literally like most of the games in space, or you're on the planet Earth, but only for like the main stories, like the main missions in the campaign.
Yeah, and it's kind of saying that it's a great game in my opinion, but I wouldn't play it. What do you reckon of it?
Black Ops 3.
Yeah.
Black Ops 3, I've only played on old gen console, which wasn't that fun because old gen console graphics aren't that good.
Yeah.
And personally, back in its time.
Yeah, and like
in
my opinion. What about your opinion on the newest Modern Warfare, the remake?
The remake, it's not exactly a remake, because the newest Modern Warfare game is called Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I'll tell you the line of Modern Warfare games. Okay, so you got Modern Warfare 1, which is the 4th Call of Duty game, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. Back when Infinite Warfare dropped, Modern Warfare got remastered, and now, well, in November last year, in 2019, Modern Warfare got dropped, and then people were thinking, wait, what's going on? It's called Modern Warfare. But basically, Modern Warfare, the new one, isn't exactly a remaster. It's more like it's more like what happened, what the events.
It ties up the events.
Yeah.
Ties it all up, adds it all up, makes more sense. Because when you first start in the Modern Warfare, you get straight in. You don't even know any of your character's backstory or anything.
Yeah, it's just like your name out of the front is just Sergeant John Soap McTavish, and you're like, wait, who the hell is this? And in the newest Modern Warfare, it sort of tells you about that.
Yeah.
And like who Gaz was and who's Ghost, and you know, Gaz is Sergeant Kyle Garrick, is one of the people you get to play as.
Right.
In the main story. Yeah. Do you want to go some multiplayer?
With multiplayer,
the current meta.
Yeah, the current meta. I'm gonna move past this current meta. I'm gonna go straight back to 2019. 2018. Infinity Ward released a game called Call of Duty World War II.
That was not Infinity Ward. That was Sledgehammer.
The game, like, for gamers had high hopes for this game, and then eventually it got released and it wasn't that good. Like, I love the game. Okay, it's my favorite. It's my favorite Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And like the multiplayer, the shipment map was small and compact, and I loved it.
That's the point
Yeah.
of the map.
I loved it, but you get a Molotov cocktail, you've killed the whole enemy team because it's like this.
If you get an artillery, which is normally like it's basically just like big mortar barrage for a spot of the map that you choose. Normally it's like this fairly small circle that you can pick on the map. On shipment, it's the entire map.
Yeah. What weapon do you use in Call of Duty? What weapon?
World War II, I used the first assault rifle. I think it was like the M1914. I mean, not 14, 41.
Oh yeah, the M.
It had a magazine out its side.
Yeah.
That was my assault rifle that I would normally use. My sniper would normally be a Lee Enfield or a Car 98K.
Really, you didn't like this? You didn't like the Springfield M1903?
Didn't that have like a giant ass scope?
Yeah, that was. I love the giant Oscar.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was a beautiful weapon.
Yeah. I made so many jokes about it.
I know. But that is explicit. Explicit? Is that the word? Explicit or explicit?
Explicit.
Yeah. Explicit.
Why?
I just wondering.
No, why?
Wasn't like one of the jokes really bad?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, I'm thinking the wrong thing.
You probably are.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll continue on.
Okay. I'd normally use the Lewis gun.
Mm.
Basically, it had a big dinner plate as its magazine.
Yeah, I can't. No, if you're gonna use the Lewis, you just can't. In my opinion, someone who uses an
camp with it.
I know, but in my opinion, someone who uses an LMG is either A, you rush the full team, or B, you play strategically and camp. Sometimes, but sometimes you move tactically. And when I first started, I used a 1911 pistol and a Springfield M1903.
Yep.
Eventually, when I got the Springfield, and then I got this custom LMG. So it's an LMG and an AR
with like a weapon skin.
Yeah, with a weapon skin, and I loved that gun. It was the best. And then for my backup, I used the Springfield. I like the Springfield with the big ass scope. It's a great sniper rifle because it's an instant kill above the torso, and with the LMG itself, like I wouldn't use an LMG, and I like ARs, but they just don't hold enough ammo. So I got an LMG that's an AR and an LMG combined, and it's,
what gun was this?
Fire out. It's a long time. I can't remember, dude. And but like it had two drums on the side.
Yeah.
And it had the barrel itself and like the magazine, and it had two drums on the side. Had 100 bullets. Oh man, I can't remember that.
I think it was one of the MG like 42 or something.
No, it wasn't the MG42. It was something you could unlock in a pack.
I don't know. I didn't do those.
Yeah.
Zombies. A lot of people only really talk about Treyarch zombies.
Yeah.
I don't do that. Mostly because I don't have Treyarch games. For zombies. I only had the one map that came with the game, the Final Reich or Reich.
Yeah.
I was pretty good at that. Yeah. I know like all the Easter eggs and like how to do the main story.
Yeah.
It's fairly tedious, but once you get it done, the final boss looks absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Like it's cool the first time, but like also the first time you're gonna be throwing up in your mouth.
It's disgusting. It's not right. Like, not healthy.
Or Casey and I, when we used to play that, we'd always make little names for them. So like the regular zombies would be just little buddy. There'd be the pests, which we just called like annoying as hell. There'd be the ones with the bombshells on their back.
Yeah.
And we'd call them ISIS.
Yeah.
There was the big ones that had a lot of health and swung for a lot of damage but were fairly slow. We called them Big Bowl Billy. There were the ones with the flamethrowers on them. We called them Panzers.
Yeah.
And then the boss we called Little Dick Larry.
Little Dick Larry.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
So, what's your opinion on a game that I like in particular with the Call of Duty series, Black Ops 2?
Black Ops 2. My opinion, it's a really good game, but also in my opinion, they need to fix how knifing works. Because every time I would try to knife someone, like when I would just be playing like casually, I'd knife like in a normal game I would have hit it, but then I just see the knife fly by their face, and I'm like, what the heck? But also, I think it's really good because it's a Black Ops game, which are normally like the latest two, Black Ops 3 and 4. They've been fairly like in the future because Black Ops 3 had big boosters, and Black Ops 4 had like no health regen, but had like healthing stims and like specialist perk stuff. And I think it was a really good game without going too over the top.
Yeah. I'll take over for me, and I will talk about something that I find interesting. It's just planes. So planes in general. A lot of people sometimes when I talk about planes just find it boring. Like I have interest in planes, and I reckon they're quite they're magnificent forms of vehicle, and the way that they're like flying, like humans would never ever think that flying is physically possible, and then planes comes around and they take the whole thing. The Wright brothers were geniuses. They were incredible that they made a vehicle fly with just whilst also being giant. It's incredible. And we'll take the World War One comes around. We have their main plane, the Sopwith Camel, and the Sopwith Camel is a biplane with pretty high reliability, but it was also quite slow. They were mainly used for bombing runs, like biplanes back in the day. And I guess you could say they weren't really used for dogfights and taking out elephants. Like, what happened was they'd fly over enemy bases, and they would drop just like grenades or anything onto the base. And as they're flying over, sometimes they would actually, the Axis team figured out, well, we're going to get rid of these guys. We need to get rid of these planes in the sky.
It's like air guns.
Yeah, so, no, because this is World War One.
Oh, yeah.
They created other planes, exactly same as the Sopwith Camel.
Yeah.
And then they had that war. And then World War Two comes around, they create...
The AA guns? Like anti-aircraft?
Anti-aircraft guns have been around for a while. The Mississippi BF-109, which was the Axis side of the plane, and then the Allies were like, alright, well, if they're going to have something fancy, we'll have something fancy. There was the P-51 Mustangs, Mark II Spitfire, and the Mark 1.
Oh, P-51, yeah, I know that.
The F-4U Corsair from the Pacific. Then the Japanese, when they made kamikaze planes to destroy aircraft, so...
Oh, kamikaze, so like they just like drive into them. Or would they like eject themselves out?
They wouldn't eject themselves, they didn't have ejectability back then.
Oh, okay. So they just ride straight in.
Yeah, and the Japanese would say they're doing the best, like it was like for their god or something religious.
Oh yeah.
And hold on. Sorry, these Pringles are really good.
Go on.
With the hold on, stuck my throat. Can you take over?
I don't know much about planes, but they look cool, and they look hard to make, and
I'm not sure how they
work.
That's disgusting.
Oh,
I know how they work. They have
this is so professional.
100% professional. They have gears and stuff like a normal car with pistons, and then they have a propeller, and then they have to work on their wind. It's quite hard to explain. And yeah, anyway, so kamikazes was a religious thing where they nosedive into aircraft carriers and battleships and like temporarily disable them, and that served a great kind of pleasure within the Axis power, because that's what they needed. They needed battleships destroyed, and sometimes they would target aircraft carriers because they were hoarding some F-4U Corsairs. So an F-4U Corsair is a V-shaped wing that has been spiral, so more could fit on what are they called, aircraft carriers, and it was a single-engined, four propeller, single pilot fighter aircraft, and it was amazing. One of the nicknames it was called the Whistling Death, because it had the ability to drop bombs that had fans on them, and the fans on them themselves would make whistling sounds as the bomb was dropping.
Okay,
and the F-4U,
so like a Stuka.
yeah, like A Stuka made a humming sound, like a
Yeah.
really strong humming sound. A Stuka, I'm pretty sure Stuka 109. There was they had these like open gaps with with like certain flaps in them, like
Yeah.
mini flaps, and it would make like a sound. But then also but also there'd be a fan on the inside, so it motor and make a zzz, and then as they're flying, as they go down, it goes deeper, and as they go up, it goes like higher, and it would scare the enemies. I mean, the allies, and the Axis loved that idea. But when the Pacific Rim battle happened, that's when the F4U Corsairs came in handy, because they were nicknamed the Western Death because they had mini fans on their wings and on their tires and stuff, and they make a sound as they come down and as they drop the bombs. It was extremely scary for the Japanese Empire. But apart from that, the Spitfire. So the Spitfire was the British one, and it's a beautiful plane. It sounds amazing, and the plane itself had the capabilities of doing something that other planes would do. It had always fast rollings, and the British were really, 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 really good with their designs of their planes, and the fact that they would customize their planes to their ability and do everything with their flaps. And they actually had double flaps.
That's a lot of relays.
Really, yeah, that was a lot of relays. Well, I'm trying to set that the viewers
Set the tempo.
set the tempo, yeah. Like make sure that they understand that it was really good plane, Spitfire, and it was called the Spitfire because of the machine guns on the side of its wings would literally spit the bullets out.
Yeah.
Like, it's so fast.
Is that how they got the Black Ops 4 gun called the Spitfire? It's like
Yep.
the fastest shooting gun in the game.
That is how they got the Black Ops 4 gun. It's called the Spitfire. That's actually
It shoots really fast, especially with that one weapon skin that I can't remember. It'd be like one of the fastest shooting guns in the game.
Yeah.
Anyway, we gotta move on to conspiracy theories. I'll let Blake start. Unless you don't have any in mind.
Can humans? So you know how they say humans can we only use 10% of our brains? I don't believe that.
10%.
Humans only use 10% of their brains. I don't, and I do at the same time believe it. Like, if we don't know how to unlock it, and people saying, "Oh, I know how to unlock it. I went to this what do they call that? They have the bubbles and stuff, and they say that they can tell the future and shit."
Oh, like fortune tellers.
Fortune tellers, yeah, they pay them money and they tell the future. I don't really believe in that stuff. And with the humans unlocking 10% of their brain, they actually believe it sometimes. And another thing with that is that the fact that conspiracy on the topic of conspiracy theories on humans with their 10% of their brain. If we're using 10% of our brain, then what the 90% is just sitting there and we don't know how to unlock it. And that's how people were coming along with like third eyes and stuff. And it's just what people believe in. Like, I respect what you believe in, but I don't really believe in that stuff. With the 10% of our brains, unless it's physically proven by science, then I'll start believing it. But sometimes, when we get an itch, right?
Yeah, an itch?
Our brain, we don't actually have an itch. It's our brain telling us to scratch the thing, and the brain has said something to wherever the itch is. So say it was on my foot.
Why
the
would
brain
the
is
brain make you feel itchy?
because I don't know. I don't know, honestly.
I say that as I'm itching myself.
So say your foot had an itch, your brain caused it, and your brain wants to scratch it. So I don't know, maybe it's an accident. Or scientists don't know why you dream. Why do you reckon you dream?
What do I think you dream? Maybe it's like to think of something cool in the morning to wake yourself up. Or maybe it's like, your brain saying, hey, you could probably be able to do this sometime today.
Yeah. Or I was thinking, it's a way that the brain stores memory by dreaming.
Yeah.
And
Well, if you can remember, what did you dream about this morning?
I didn't dream at all this morning. Like, sometimes I don't even dream.
I
rarely
what did
dream.
I dream this morning? This morning, I think I dreamed about me. I can't remember.
I had a dream. I was riding a tricycle on a bridge.
Tricycle?
A tricycle. It was automatic for some reason.
That's automatic.
Yep, on a bridge.
Yeah.
And I fell I fell off the bridge in the water.
Mhm.
And it was a really big drop. And I splashed in. And then a shark with with like a human head on it. Literally,
Yo,
coincidentally asked me if they want a Pringle, and then I woke up, and then I was confused because I didn't know where it was.
the hell? I had a dream this one time that I was stealing something from a cookie jar. Like-
Original.
and then I woke up and then I felt like having cookies for breakfast.
There was a dream once. I had a cat, and the cat would eat like plants and stuff.
Eat plants?
Yeah, but cats do like plants. They don't eat them. They chew them
Yeah.
and chew them.
Yeah.
And like, I came back home. He's in my house. It was weird. I don't know. Sometimes like you can't even remember your dreams. Like I'll wake up one morning from a dream. I'm like, what was that about? Why would you think that sometimes? Nightmares are horrible.
Nightmares are horrible.
I've always had the fear of lucid dreaming, which is where you actually can control your dream. And you know that you're dreaming. That's scary.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
You lucid dream.
Sometimes.
You know that you're dreaming. That's horrid.
I know that I'm dreaming, and then all of a sudden something happens, and then I nearly fell out of my bed. That happens like once a month, at most.
Sorry, just a quick question. When you're having chips, like hot chips, for example.
Hot chips, so
Hot
like the ones with the potato in them. So
Yes,
like
hot chips.
it's like not
With
like
the potato in them, with the pastry, not the pastry, but the, like
Something
say you went to a food.
like
to
a fish and chip store.
Yeah.
Okay, so not
And
like
you got tomato sauce.
not
Would
like
you put
smoothies
it all over the food?
or like
at
on the side.
side?
Personally, well, it depends. Like sometimes I do it on the side, sometimes I do it all over. Most of the time, I put like I just do like a light coating of it, and then just a little bit on the side if I need more.
I do it on the side because if you put it on like all over, right? I understand if you really love it, you put it. I put it on the side, so you dip it in.
Yeah.
And because it's your own, like it's yours, it's the sauce you put in your plate. Like unless someone's gonna ask for it, you can do whatever. Like it doesn't even really matter. And but like if you put it all over the top, and you go to reach and you grab a chip, you're gonna get sauce on your fingers. And then when you lick your fingers get wet, and then you gotta wipe it on your pants or something, or a serviette, or if you have one available. But a lot of people
are lazy.
Me. And they wipe it on their
Pants
or shirt. That's what I do. And I like
stains.
And it stains, and I get in trouble. I get told. Well, it's been 23 minutes.
23 minutes. Alright, random stories that we did not think of that we actually did.
We need to top 5 too.
And that, yeah. Random stories.
Oh yeah, random stories. I'm trying to. Right. Well, I can't think of any. Can you think of any?
A story. It would have been on like grade 6 camp. Me, Blake, and a bunch of our other friends. So I think it was Brody, Kingsley, Cooper, and Josh.
Yeah, a bunch of other guys. Yeah.
I think that was just our table. We'd always sit on that table. And I think there was this one time, Josh Mendoza, who was having Weet-Bix.
I'm trying to remember
now. He was having Weet-Bix, and then Cooper. Pardon?
For breakfast, right?
For breakfast, yeah. At Melbourne, on our Year 6 camp in Australia. And continue. And Cooper, who was like sitting like not next to him, but like next to, like, you know how you got your table, so I'm just like, I guess you got like 4 seats on each side and then 2 at the ends.
Yeah.
Josh was at one of the ends, and then Cooper, for me, was on his right.
Yeah.
And then Cooper had this great idea of saying, hey, maybe we should put like chocolate milk in instead.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
So then we put then Cooper put chocolate milk in, and then Josh came back to see freaking Weebix with chocolate milk in it.
Mm.
Okay, so he had that, and then we were all wondering if it would be nice or not. Don't know why. It probably would have been nice. And yeah, and then the next morning when we were having breakfast again, it was all of us in the same table in the same spot because that's weird. And Cooper, he didn't put chocolate milk in. He put regular milk in, but he was having a bit of toast, and he had spare butter. Remember this? And then he put
yes.
some of the butter
In the cereal.
in the milk with Josh knowing, just in case, because he might not like it and stuff. So he asked for consent first, because obviously it would have been a douche. And apparently, like according to him, we were all like absolutely shocked. Like the teachers nearly came over to see what happened.
Yeah.
Josh said he liked it.
Yeah, man. Buttermilk and wheat bix. Yeah, man.
But just a bunch of butter,
Yeah, so
some milk, and plain Weetabix, like 3 slices of Weetabix.
I'm gonna move on to another segment.
No, you didn't even do a story. Jeez, man.
I don't want to do.
Oh well.
With the with there's
Best
the
movies.
no the top 5 segments.
Oh yeah.
With the segments.
Yep.
So we'll do top 5 movies.
Top 5 movies today, and next time, top 5 video games.
Yeah, next episode, top 5 video. So top 5 movies. In my opinion,
In your
coming in at
opinion?
number 5.
Me number 5. Can't even think
The
of
Hunger
them.
Games.
The
The
Hunger.
Hunger Games series.
Just the series?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was alright. Like I enjoyed it. It was pretty cool. Some of the kills were brutal. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool. Like one of the ones that just the boy, like a 16-year-old snapped a 4-year-old's neck. It was brutal, man.
One that I didn't like was the guy with the trident, helping Katniss up and then getting killed by those weird monster thingy zombie blah blah blah.
Oh yeah.
My top 5, number 5 movie is a lot of them. I'd say just like Harry Potter, like all of them.
I hate Harry Potter. I can't stand Harry Potter.
My favourite one's the 4th one, the Goblet of Fire.
Yeah.
Also because I read the book, and the book makes it a lot better if you can be bothered reading it all.
Imagine reading.
Imagine reading. I mean, that's probably why I got an A in English.
And I got a B.
You did?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh, okay. Okay, what's your 4th?
Before coming in.
Coming in at
The
number...
Emoji Movie.
Really?
No.
No? Okay. What's your
Emoji.
actual number 4?
I like Toy Story. Like, even though I'm an older person, Toy Story is really good in my opinion.
Night.
Good night.
Night, Hannah.
Shut this down,
Where
mate.
do you have a light?
Yeah.
Alright, well, we'll wrap this up and
Just do yours. I can't think of it.
okay, well, I'll do top 4. So number 4,
Number 4, Toy Story.
Toy Story. Number 3,
Number 3.
I know number 1. Number 1's Elf.
Elf?
Elf. That's a great
Okay.
show.
Like
Oh yeah, number 2.
Number 2?
Number 3, Happy Gilmore. Number 2,
Yeah.
Blended, and your number 1 is Elf. Alright, we'll wrap this up. I'll see you in season 1, episode 2.
Chit Chats with Blake and Owen.